single is treated like something to escape, like it's the worst thing you can be, especially as a woman. Being single sometimes feels like you're behind, you're lacking something, like something is wrong with you, or you're doing something wrong in your dating approach. But what if we didn't think of it that way? What if we embrace being single as something that's just as good and sometimes better than being in a relationship? What if we didn't move through life holding being in a relationship on a pedestal? In this episode, we're talking about being single, and I'm going to share some of the most important things you can do in your single life to improve your mindset and your dating approach. So, welcome back to Dating Intentionally. I'm Talia. I'm a dating coach, and I'm sharing no nonsense advice for navigating modern dating with confidence and ease, whether you've been on dozens of dates or you're just getting started. I believe dating can be fun, even when you don't have a relationship to show for it. If you're listening to this when it comes out, I hope you've had a lovely holiday week if you celebrate Christmas. I just got back from Cambodia and I'm playing catch up while getting ready to record so many new episodes in 2026. I can't wait. So, this episode originally aired in August 2024, right before I got married. And I wanted to share it again because I mentioned it in so many other episodes this year. And I just think it's important to reflect on this stuff if you're someone who likes to do intention setting, goal setting, and visualization for a new year. This episode is really going to tap into that part of your brain, and I know you'll love it. At the end, there's a brand new dating dilemma submitted from someone in the Dating Intentionally community, so stay tuned for that. Also, really quick, I just wanted to remind you that my Relationship Needs Masterclass is coming up very soon on January 5th, and there's still time to sign up if you want to discover your needs and actually use this information in your dating journey to find amazing matches and never settle again. When you know your needs, there is really no danger of settling because you'll know exactly what you're looking for in a partner and relationship to be happy, and you just won't settle for less. This masterclass is going to walk you through the entire process from defining your needs to vetting your dates, all the stuff that took me years to figure out. The masterclass is on January 5th and 12th. It is 2 live virtual sessions with coaching, Q&A, writing exercises, and more. So you can sign up to join live or get the replay at datingintentionallypod.com/needs. The link is also in the show notes. And yes, there will be a replay if you can't make it live. I can't wait to see you in January. Just head to datingintentionallypod.com/needs. All right, let's get to it. And in this episode, you're going to hear me talk about a concept called dating NATO. That's NATO. And this is very timely because I have a super special guest who you're going to hear about in a minute. And she's coming to talk about this concept more in depth in a week from today. So stay tuned for that. All right. Well, this episode is about how not just to love your life as a single person, but also how to build security and safety for yourself when you're single. Yes, I'm in a relationship right now, but I did these exact things that I'm going to share with you after I got out of a 6-year relationship and I was single for a while. And just because I'm in a relationship now does not mean that I will always be in a relationship. So whether you're coupled up or not, this is all important stuff to think about. So the first thing I want to get into to improve your mindset as a single person is called dating NATO. So dating NATO, NATO, means dating not attached to the outcome. I'm not the person who came up with this term. I want to give credit to dating coach Erica Etten, who has been on the podcast. You can find her on Instagram at a little nudge, and she has a post pinned to her profile that's called What is Dating NATO? And I'm going to just summarize it for you here. So dating NATO is more about the process than the goal. When we focus too much on the goal, whether it's in a long-term relationship or marriage, dates feel like interviews, and you get caught in a trap of trying to assess each person for long-term compatibility before you even know them. That doesn't make dating fun. It makes dating a nightmare. Dating NATO means you're open to seeing where things go and letting it play out, even if the ultimate goal is marriage or a long-term relationship. You don't need each date to work out. And you know that most people you date are not going to be the one because you only need one to work out. Another aspect of dating NATO is how you define success and failure. The idea is not to see dates that don't go anywhere as a failure, it's just part of the process. Most dates you have are not going to go anywhere anyway, and the sooner you accept this, the sooner you'll be able to enjoy the process without fixating on the goal. I know you might be thinking, how can I date not attached to the outcome when I really want the outcome of marriage or whatever it is you're looking for? You can still have the intention and desire to be married or in a relationship, and at the same time know that the timing of it all isn't in your control. If you want to be married one day, you have to meet people and date, knowing that most dates will not lead to your desired outcome. When we put it like that, it's like, wow, why are we even wasting time doing all this dating if 90% of the time it doesn't even get us to our desired outcome? My perspective is that dating teaches us a lot about ourselves and other people. It can also be really fun when you pick activities and locations you enjoy regardless of who you're with. It becomes even more fun when you let go of trying to control the outcome and let it play out, to trust the timing of it all. Here are some concrete examples of dating NATO. So instead of constantly thinking about the next milestone, like becoming boyfriend, girlfriend, or exclusive, or saying I love you, you're focusing on what you can learn about them and you're, sharing moments together. Instead of scrutinizing everything they say and looking for clues that they're compatible or incompatible, you're being present and figuring out if you enjoy their presence in the moment. And instead of deleting the apps every time something doesn't work out, you can zoom out and remember that rejection is redirection. And most people you meet aren't going to be it anyway. And it's easier to get back on the horse and keep going. When I had my first date with Johnny, my fiance, at Fremont Brewing in Seattle, I wasn't sitting there drinking a beer, focused on whether or not he would be a good dad or if his values align with mine. I didn't end the date wondering, did I just meet my future husband? I wasn't even sure I wanted to see him again, but I couldn't think of a reason not to, so I did. I think dating NATO is really important because it helps you build trust with yourself. You don't need every date to work out. You don't need to get to the next milestone of early dating, especially with someone who doesn't treat you well or is inconsistent or isn't even sure they're ready for a relationship. You don't need it to happen. And that brings us to the next mindset tip that I want to share with you. Okay, hear me out. What would your life be like if you were single the entire time? And I know that's probably true for some of you listening who have never been in a relationship, and that's valid. What if you never get married? What if you never move in with a partner? I know this question is scary, but it's absolutely worth considering because we are not in control of so many things in life. And if this thought feels sad to you, I get it. I'm sending you hugs. We're all raised with this idea that being in a long term, monogamous, romantic relationship for 30 plus years is the end all be all, especially if you identify as a woman. But it doesn't have to be sad. One of the best things about being single is having ultimate freedom. You have the freedom to decide whatever you want, whatever is best for you and only you. You don't have to consider anyone else's wants or needs or preferences or goals, anything. Obviously, okay, if you are single and you have kids, it's a little different, but your life is still yours and you get to decide what is best for you and no one else really has a say over it. And I think that's amazing. It's a luxury that you don't get to have as much of in a relationship, which is why compatibility is so important, like finding someone who has aligned goals and values, because if they don't, then you're going to compromise on things that are so important to you, that to the point where you're not at all close to the vision of life you had for yourself. So knowing this, knowing that as a single person, you have the ability to literally do anything you want without having to make decisions with a partner, what would you do if you never got married or cohabitated with someone or had kids? To me, that question gets a lot more exciting when you see it as a win, not a loss. To me, being single is a win and being in a relationship is a win. We get to live. That's the win. But it's on you to make it that way for yourself. So let's get into how. I want to start with my approach to this. When I left my ex after 6 years, the breakup was a whirlwind of change. I went from cohabitating with someone, sharing a car, not having any pets, to renting a place on my own, having a car for the first time in my life, and being a pet owner within 3 months. I had to get back on my own health insurance. I had to replace my ex in my company because he had worked for me at the time. I had to get all these bills in my name for the first time because my ex always handled that stuff. And on top of that, I decided to adopt a dog. By the way, I wasn't dating during this time. I was, trying to get my life together. And after the dust of all that change settled, I was like, okay, now what? I remember sitting in my kitchen, looking at the next 6 to 12 months in my calendar and being like, wow, I can go anywhere. I can live anywhere. I can do anything. I have full autonomy over my money again. I can make financial decisions on my own. Not that I couldn't before, but being with someone for 6 years, my ex and I were saving money together for our future. So without that in the picture, I had extra wiggle room in my budget that just wasn't there before. I remember being hit with this feeling of, wow, for the first time ever in my adult life, I'm alone and I can make any decision I want. I had been in relationships back to back from high school until age 29. And at first, it felt daunting. Like, I almost missed the constraints I had being in a relationship, but then it felt really powerful. I have a confession. If my nails aren't well maintained, I will pick at them and bite them. It's a really bad habit. And the only thing that works to stop it is consistently taking care of them. But as a solo entrepreneur who wears way too many hats at work, finding time to sit in a salon for an hour is just not happening. That's why I've been using Olive and June's Manny system for my nail routine at home every week. I love using it when relaxing and watching TV at the end of a long day with my husband. Most days I'm rocking a clear polish, but when I want to switch it up with a fun color, I reach for Olive and June's Manny system. It comes with everything you need for a salon quality manicure in one box. We're talking salon grade tools designed for doing your own nails and 6 polishes you get to pick out yourself. And the polish lasts for 7 days or more, which I love. With Olive and June's Manny system, you don't have to wonder if you're doing it right or if you don't have the right tools. It's all there, it's simple, and it breaks down to about $2 a manicure. $2. That's a steal. So if you want gorgeous nails without worrying about squeezing in a salon appointment, try Olive and June. Visit oliveandjune.com/dating20 for 20% off your first system. That's oliveandjune.com/dating20 for 20% off your first system. This time of year, I am so busy and honestly a little bit stressed preparing for a long international trip this month, which I'm really excited for. But I'm also figuring out holiday gifts, recording a ton of episodes ahead of time, and trying to see all my friends before I leave while also sticking to my workout routine and sleep schedule. It's a lot. And when my schedule gets like this, it's so hard to stay on track with what I'm eating. I'm grabbing whatever, leaving grocery shopping to the last minute, eating at airports. You know how it is. That's why I love AG1. It's the daily health drink clinically proven to fill nutrient gaps that covers your multivitamin, pre and probiotic superfoods, and antioxidants into one simple green scoop. So even when I'm not eating the way I normally do, I know I'm still giving my body the nutrients it needs. I throw AG1 into my smoothies at home, or I'll just add it to water. It makes supporting gut health so easy, especially when traveling. I'm enjoying AG1's pineapple and vanilla flavor, which is their original flavor, and they have so many other options to choose from. If you're looking to step up your wellness game this season, I highly recommend checking out AG1. AG1 has their best offer ever. If you head to drinkag1.com/dating, you'll get the welcome kit, a morning person hat, a bottle of vitamin D3 and K2, an AG1 flavor sampler, and you'll get to try their new sleep supplement, AGZ, for free, which has been a game changer for my nightly routine. That's drinkag1.com/dating for $126 in free gifts for new subscribers. It also dawned on me that, like, looking, up the mountain, I guess, of my single journey, it dawned on me that I may never find anyone. At that point, I was just starting to date, like after 3 months of being single, after my relationship ended, I was just starting to date, but I wasn't looking for a relationship and I didn't have my Instagram account or this podcast. I was able to hold 2 beliefs in my mind that contradicted each other. I believe that I could continue to date and I would eventually meet someone. And I believe that I will be okay if I never do. I might get in and out of relationships for a decade or two and never find someone I want to marry. So I started thinking about what I do if that happens. And I asked myself these questions, which I will put in the show notes so you can actually look at them and read them. Question number 1, if I don't like it here, where should I live? So at the time I lived in Seattle and I wasn't living near family. I really had no reason to be in Seattle because my ex and I moved out there from New York and we both were just there. So I was like, okay, if I don't like it here, where am I going to live? I have an infatuation with Colorado. I, thought about other places in California. I thought about going back to New York, moving to a different country. Like, I can go anywhere. So where am I going to live? Another one was, how do I want to spend my time? What do I want my lifestyle to be? Because without another person in the picture, I can live the way I want. I could eat when and whatever I wanted. I could spend money on whatever I wanted. I could spend my time doing whatever I wanted. I didn't have to consider someone else in the picture. And that was like very powerful to me. And I know if you've been single for a while, you're listening to this, it's like, yeah, you're describing my entire life. But it's like you lose some of that when you get into a relationship. So think about it. The third one is, how will I make my life meaningful without a romantic relationship? Because I think we are in a culture, in a society that puts so much value on romantic relationships, like we're to the point where we feel like without them, we lose some meaning in our lives. Like the idea that this relationship is going to give so much meaning to our lives and enrich our lives, that's not always the case. And there are so many other ways to add meaning to your life, like diving into projects, your work, volunteering, your community. There's so many different avenues for giving your life meaning, right? Outside of a relationship. So you don't want to lose sight of that. Another question was, what kind of friend and daughter do I want to be, right? Okay, if I don't have a relationship, that means I have more energy for my friends and my parents and my siblings and all that stuff. So how do I want to show up for them? How do I want to show up for the people in my life when I don't have a relationship and I have more energy for this? I get to decide that, right? I don't have to just let it all happen. I get to be like, okay, I want to show up for all my parents' birthdays in person because they live across the country. Or like, oh, I want to, make sure I'm the kind of friend that will organize trips every year, right? We get to choose that. Another question is, how do I want to spend my money and what are my financial goals as a single person? Obviously, this question really excited me as someone who's pretty like money minded, just like, wow, I have so many options. What am I going to invest in? What am I going to save up for? Do I want to buy a house? Like, what do I want to do with my money? What will I do with my business? These were really empowering questions. If I don't meet anyone, will I choose to have kids on my own? I didn't come up with an answer to this question, but it's definitely an important question to ask yourself, like how important is having kids? And if you don't meet anyone, could you do it by yourself? The answer is yes, you have the possibility of doing it by yourself. The question is, do you want to? Does that make sense for you? All that stuff. But just because you don't find someone doesn't mean you can't start a family. If I don't get married, what does the best version of my life look like? So this question also forces you to think about whether or not marriage fits into what your idea of the best version of your life is and why. And look, I'm not saying you need to go through all these questions and have concrete answers to each one and be able to map out the next 30 years of your life, which by the way, you can't really do when you get married either. Like, I have no idea what the next 30 years of my life are going to look like and I'm getting married. Like it's not the answer. I would say look at maybe the next 3 to 5 years, make it a little more manageable. Like, what are you do? What are you going to do? What are your goals as a single person? The thing is, whether you get into a relationship or not, you hopefully do have goals for yourself. Hopefully your only goal in life isn't just to get into a relationship. Hopefully you have career and social and financial goals for yourself, right? You bring those into a relationship. So if you don't have those, think about why, and if maybe your life would feel a little less empty if you did come up with some things you wanted to do for yourself just because you really care about them. So these questions conjured images of lots of family time, traveling, visiting friends all over, dating, of course, and having experiences I wanted without worrying about my partner. Like, I could spend 3 weeks in Tahoe skiing or decide to randomly go to Hawaii by myself, which I did. And yes, I could do these things in a relationship, but having a partner adds a barrier. Deciding to go to Tahoe for 3 weeks in my relationship right now is not easy. My partner doesn't ski and like he might not want to spend our money that way. Like I'm would have to fund it myself, which obviously if I was single as well, but it's like there's a whole other person and a whole other plan we have together that I have to consider. I can't just go do that. And I could, but I don't think it'd be very nice. You might not know this about me, and I'm wondering if we have this in common. I am a bit of a personal finance nerd. I have tried dozens of budgeting and personal finance apps over the years, but the one that has stuck with me is Rocket Money. I've used Rocket Money for the last 3 years, and it's helped me cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitor my spending, and lower bills so I can grow my savings. If you've been looking for a simple, streamlined way to get a sense of where your money is going, set a budget, and manage all the subscriptions that really add up, look no further. Rocket Money is it. One feature I use frequently is the subscription tracker. Rocket Money finds all of your subscriptions, including the ones you forgot about. You're not alone, and helps you cancel the ones that you don't want anymore in just a few taps. It's a great way to be intentional with your money and save for what you actually care about. For me, right now, we're saving up for a Japan trip in 2026 since my husband has never been. And thanks to Rocket Money, it's going to be a breeze. This is wild, but it also doesn't surprise me because this app is that good. Rocket Money has saved users over $2.5 billion, including over 880 million in canceled subscriptions alone. Their 10 million members save up to $740 a year when they use all of the app's premium features. So if you've been waiting to get serious about your money, this is a great place to start. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/dating today. That's rocketmoney.com/dating, rocketmoney.com/dating. So, this thought experiment excited me. I found so much security and safety in thinking these things through for myself. Like, look at all these options. Look at how much sounds appealing to me. Like, can have so many different options for my life that have nothing to do with getting married. And I would love for you to try this too, because when you go through this process of thinking about the next 5, 10 years as a single person and thinking about what it looks like when it's just the best version of it, changes the way you date because you don't need it to work out. It removes this this essence of desperation. You have a general idea of how to make your life amazing, even if you never find a partner. You don't need your next date to work out because you know how to live a happy life single. And here's what we don't talk about when it comes to happiness enough. The goal of life is not to be happy and comfy all the time. It's impossible to be happy and comfy and just at peace all the time anyway. That would be so boring. We wouldn't grow, we wouldn't change or evolve. And the truth is that relationships don't guarantee happiness. People aren't necessarily happier in a relationship. There are lots of people out there who are married and miserable. You can be happier by yourself, but it's on you to create that. Like when we think about getting into a relationship, are we getting into a relationship so we can outsource our happiness to the other person? I'd hope not. It's not the other person's role to give you or bring you happiness. That is not their responsibility or their job. It's your job. We risk losing ourselves in a relationship if we just take our hands off the wheel and pray that the relationship will fulfill all the things that we need to be happy without working on it or without working on ourselves or without thinking about what makes us happy and making sure we inject those things into our life. What you create for yourself in your life as a single person is what you will bring to your relationship. If you're miserable when you're single, you will probably be miserable in a relationship too. Let me just say that again. If you don't like your life as a single person, being in a relationship will not fix that. And again, if you are not loving life right now, I'm sending you hugs. I have a lot of empathy and compassion for you. Being single absolutely has its hardships. Like if you're listening and you're an American, our government is basically set up to make life easier for married couples. Like, I get it. But that aside, it is on you, whether you are single or coupled up, to make sure that you are living the life that you want. No one is going to hand it to you. And when you know all this, dating just feels different. Dating is something we get to do right now in 2024, in American culture at least, and in many cultures, we don't have arranged marriages. We aren't limited to choosing based on class, status, resources, power, and all the other reasons people used to get married. Women don't have to get married to survive anymore. Women don't have to get married to access financial stability at all. In this point, we choose to date and marry based on love and long-term companionship for the most part. It's something we have the privilege of doing if we want to. We don't have to. And we can feel less desperate for it to work out when we know if it doesn't work out, we have this whole amazing life as a single person loosely mapped out. Having that sketch in your mind of what happiness and fulfillment looks like alone takes so much pressure off your dating experience. Look, I'm getting married and I'm still ready for it to not work out. Like, if it doesn't work out, I will be okay. I don't need my marriage to work out to be okay. I want it to, and I plan on giving it my all, but you never know what could happen. One of us could die. One of us could experience something that changes our lives so drastically, it causes the marriage to end. One of us could wake up in 15 years and just be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know. And that's okay. So if you're listening to this and you're desperately trying to get into a relationship, I encourage you to try these thought experiments. You can find the questions to reflect on below in the show notes. And I want you to know you deserve a life you enjoy. You deserve it, but you have to actually make that happen. How are you going to make it happen if you never find someone? And how are you going to make it happen if you do? I'd love to hear what you think about what I'm saying. I know this is heavy stuff. You can get in touch with me on Instagram at dating.intentionally or through email. I'm at datingintentionallypod@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. All right, I want to get into a dating dilemma. So these dating dilemmas are submitted by you, the listeners. Thank you for submitting them. So we have a new dating dilemma. This is a fresh one. It comes from a member of the Dating Intentionally community, which is a new space I've slowly been developing and building since July. And we have over 100 members in there now supporting each other through the dating process. It's been so amazing. You can learn more at datingintentionallypod.com/community or in the link in the show notes. Here we go. Hey, I'd love your help with a dating dilemma. I'm a part of your community and loving it. I recently met a guy at the bar out with friends. We immediately clicked, great chemistry, fun, flirty, very comfortable. He asked for my number and invited me to coffee the next day. Since then, he's been consistent, communicative, and reassuring, and he wants to get to know me. Early on, he shared that he had a neck surgery that still affects him and that some past girlfriends couldn't handle it. I wasn't sure what to make of that, but I liked him, so I stayed open. The last time we saw each other, he had an episode with his neck pain, and he warned me it might happen. He was medicated, not quite himself, and he left early. The next day, he went to the hospital, which made me realize that this might be more serious than I understood. Now I'm spiraling a bit. I really like him, but it feels early for me to know what level of support or involvement makes sense. I want to stay grounded while also staying open and kind. My question: how can I navigate this early stage in a balanced way, staying connected and supportive, but also keeping healthy boundaries and emotional perspective? It's been hard for me to detach as I really like him. Thank you so much for submitting this. He sounds like a great guy, and it's unfortunate that he has this issue and he's recovering from a neck injury and surgery. That sounds really tough. And I think it's awesome that you stayed open and are continuing to getting to know him. I think this is the best move when you like someone and they share something that about themselves that you're not sure what to do with instead of running away. So I am so glad that you're sticking around and getting curious instead of just like, nope, I'm bouncing, I'm out of here. Because he sounds pretty intentional, right? To answer your question, I would, one, ask him what he expects from someone who's newly dating in terms of support. Like, how does he envision his dating life while he's recovering and dealing with this issue? Two, together, I would come up with ideas and ways to spend time getting to know each other within his physical limitations. Like, what are low-key dates you can do? And is FaceTime an option when he's having a flare-up? That's the level of support I'd start with, and you can go from there. I get it. You don't want to go into full partner mode here because you're getting to know each other, and I agree boundaries are very important here. I'm not sure where the line is, but for me, I would definitely not do things like run errands for him or do house stuff for him at this point. Like, that's something I do for a partner, but not something I do for someone a few dates in at all. This is, again, like I've said, my first point of just like, you need to discuss what his expectations are for early dating and how you can integrate each other into your lives when he has this condition. It's definitely alarming to hear that his past partners were not able to handle this. Like, that really sucks. It's not a great situation because, again, he sounds like a good person. And I get your concern because you actually want to do things together, and you are probably wondering how he can show up for you as a partner with this issue. And so my advice really is to keep dating him, have these conversations, and remember, you can always give yourself permission to leave if you feel like your needs just can't be met here. Again, I really love your compassion and openness, and I hope that it works out. But at the same time, I hope that you make the best decision based on what you need in a partner too. All right, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for listening. Happy holidays again. Thanks for trusting me. Don't forget, you're doing great. If you know someone who is navigating dating and could use a confidence boost or a fresh perspective, share this episode with them. And if this podcast has helped you, a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple goes a long way. Once again, I'm Talia. This is Dating Intentionally, and I'll catch you next time.